hi, it's your old buddy Zoo, and I just realized I hadn't talked about muOS in a couple months, which is weird. It's not like muOS has been sitting on their can, taking a break. No, actually they released a new version of muOS called Pixie. Came out, and you can probably tell from the thumbnail, because there's a pixie on it. Now this happened in the middle of March, and I was busy on spring break. Took the family down to the Great Wolf Lodge. Lost the kids twice. Once in the pool area. That'll put the fear of God into you. And then when we got home, everyone got violently ill, throwing up, because that water is gross. It's super gross. I mean, it's either an ear infection or norovirus. Pick your poison, quite literally. And in addition to all of the new advancements, like for instance, this thing runs silky smooth compared to the other versions, I'm going to show you a bunch of new add-ons I haven't really talked about yet. One of the cool things about muOS is that it has an archive manager feature. You don't have to copy over folders and make sure the structure's okay and everything is lined up perfectly. No, you just throw a zip file in the archive folder, and then when you open up your handheld, you go into the archive manager and say, install those cheats, install that theme.
Do as I command, muOS.
And it will. If you're new, or you've been deliberately avoiding my videos, jerk, I'm going to explain muOS. muOS is a custom firmware available for the Anbernic H700 line. All the XXs that came out except the original 35XX. And one of the cool things about muOS is you have a pretty solid core, but you can kind of bolt on packages to the side. You can customize it as much or as little as you like. So maybe you want to add a media player core, or a web browser, or box art scraping, or even Dolphin emulation because you want to put GameCube games on your H700 in a vulgar display of power. You can do it as long as some crazy dev or even a contributor has made this little add-on. You can install it. Pretty cool. If you have been watching my videos, maybe you already have muOS installed. Now I'm sorry to say this isn't a quick and easy update. This isn't, I put the file in, I tell it to update, and it goes. No, you're going to have to reflash your primary card. And you really should be running 2 SD cards with muOS because you can have all your OS on card 1 and all your games and your saves and your configurations and everything on card 2, which is what I do. So, hopefully, you got 2 cards. If not, it's not the end of the world, but it's easier with 2 cards. Shoot, speaking of cards, I think I'm out. I better go to Micro Center for a non-sponsored little driving segment. It's not sponsored. Hopefully it will be. Micro Center, can you please send me some SD cards for free? They're cheap as it is, but free is cheaper than like $5 a card. All right, now that I got cards for days, let's back this thing up. Beep, beep, beep. Okay, now to back this thing up, you go to Applications, go down to Task Toolkit, and easily enough, migrate to SD2. Now you need to have 2 cards in here for that to work, but otherwise, easy peasy. Now the tool's going to check to make sure you have a card in SD2. It's going to check you have enough space. Then it's going to copy over all your BIOS files, your settings, all sorts of stuff. Now it's not going to migrate your ROMs, so you have to back those up separately. Honestly, muOS works best like a lot of the other dual boots where the operating system is on a smaller 16 or 32 gigabyte card 1 and the games all live on a bigger card 2. It makes swapping your devices easier, and it also helps with upgrades like this. While this thinks about what it's doing, let's go to the computer. So once you back up your stuff to the second card, or if you're starting from scratch, your next step is going to be to flash the Pixie build onto an SD card. Since I'm using my old card, I just went in with partition magic and just deleted everything on there. Once it's a fresh card, you're going to want to extract the zip file you downloaded, and then you flash the image to the SD card. I always use Win32 Disk Imager, but there are a bunch of other compatible ones listed on the muOS website. I always set my drive to M for muOS, so I don't accidentally flash it to my external hard drive. Make sure you don't do that. If you delete all your pictures or whatever, I'm going to mock you. Alright? Alright, once that's done, you pop the card in and you turn this sucker on, and it's going to make all sorts of happy Star Trek noises while it installs. You percolate on your own while I get to the other handheld. Don't you yell at me. Oh, and by the way, if you did make all those migrations to SD card 2, your settings and your favorites and stuff will just be on there when muOS loads. They just live on SD2 now. That's their home. So, what's changed between Banana and Pixie? Well, There's a whole list of things if you want to get deep into the weeds, but here are the highlights. First, we have console mode, and we're going to show that here in a minute. It means if you plug this into a TV through the HDMI port and you power it on, it's going to start full screen on the TV and be ready to go as a console. Previously, it was kind of stretched and weird, but now it's smooth. We're going to couple this with the Bluetooth app in a minute, and I'm going to show you how you can go full consolization mode here. They also improved themes to match the different XX configurations. This is big for the 34XX here because it has that 3x2 screen, and themes that were built for 4x3 or 1x1 worked, but there was some occasional wonk. There's also been some performance increases and stability fixes behind the scenes. If I go into my Game Boy Advance library, you can see it's very, very smooth. Also, there's box art. We'll get there. Now, in addition to all these performance increases and stability fixes, they also made other background changes so muOS can eventually be ported onto non-H700 devices. Kind of excited to see this on something like the Brick. That'd be pretty cool. They also changed the favorites area to collections, and they added support for subfolders so you can sort your stuff. Now, muOS is kind of folder structure agnostic, which means things don't have to be in specifically named folders. But breaking down, say, your SNES collection into sub-collections for JRPGs, for shooters, etc., can be helpful if you're running the entire library on this thing. You can also sort your favorites on the fly, as seen by my folder of Game Boy Advance greats here. Also, this default theme is sharp as hell. It's like a combination of the new banana theme with the stock theme, and I tell you what, I'm here for it. For most of these add-ons, excluding the web browser later on in the video, installation is as easy as going to Apps, Archive Manager, and installing stuff. Let's install PSP Cheats just for fun. Done. All you do is you throw the installation file. It's usually a zip or a muxupd file. Say that 5 times fast. You throw that into the archive folder on ST1, and then you run it through this program. It eliminates any errors you might run into by dragging folders from your PC to specific paths on the SD card, and it just makes everything neat and tidy. So let's start looking at these apps. First up is Scrappy. Now, muOS has supported box art for a while, but it's not always the easiest thing in the world to set up due to the folder structure agnostic setup they have. You have to have a specific path, a specific name. It gets kind of confusing. Enter the Scrappy app. This app uses Screen Scraper to grab box art, so you're going to need to put your username and passwords into the INI file, but otherwise, you get the same emulation station, Botocera-ish, on-the-fly scraping that previously wasn't available on muOS. Pretty cool. Now, the settings on here are a little unintuitive when you first open it, but you can eventually get the same functionality as other scrapers. You can target one specific game to be scraped. Heck, let's go get 1941. Scrape it. You can also scrape an entire system, or you could scrape everything you have on the handheld. Look, there it is. You can also go into settings and say, I want to scan just these specific folders, or heck, check them all. Pretty cool. And then when you go into that folder, let's go back, what was that, CPS? 1941. Look at that beautiful art. You can change the kind of box art you want. I opted for the Mix 3 here, and it looks really good. I'm really happy with this. Up next, you have the Bluetooth app. So let's get my old skin color, 8-bit do here, and connect it to Bluetooth. Wow, steady, Zoo. So let's make sure this is in pairing mode first. Will you hold this button up back here? Yeah. So, let's scan. 10-second timeout. It already sees my Galaxy Watch on there. All right, and we have the Pro Controller. Let's connect there. Connecting. Thinking about it. All right, connected. And now you can see, I have Bluetooth control over this sucker. Now, heck, let's plug it into the TV. See, here we got no signal. This is plugged in. Let's turn this on. There it goes. Green. We're going to wait a minute. Thinking about it. All right. There's muOS right on my screen. Let's go to apps, make sure the controller's connected again. Okay, we're connected. You see here I got my controller. Let's play some games. We got Pokemon. Now I'm assuming there's some sort of input lag because it's Bluetooth through a handheld, but it's not super detectable for me, and I think it's good enough for some casual retro gaming if you want to consoleize this real quick, especially now you have Bluetooth. Up next, are you the kind of person who is in their element trying to get GameCube to run at 0.75 resolution on the Retroid Pocket 3? Have you now, or have you ever went deep into Dolphin compatibility spreadsheets? If so, boy, do I have an app for you. It's called Dolphin for muOS, and it lets you play low-power GameCube games on your H700 handheld. And it's really easy. Once you install it, it's just integrated into your content. So we're going to go down to our GameCube folder. There you go. We got X-Men 2, Wolverine's Revenge. While this very slowly spools up, let's just be honest. Do most games fail to start? Yes. Do other games run like trash? Yes. Is the subset of games that will actually run and play at anything close to 100% speed extremely low? Yes. Do I care? No. Because I can play something like X2, Wolverine's Revenge on here. Now this is a hyper niche novelty app, but it does kind of show what's possible in custom firmware, even for lower powered devices. And when muOS is ported to like the TrimUI Brick or a 3566 device down the road, maybe it won't be such a novelty. You could be playing some low to mid-tier GameCube games on a brick, and that would be kind of cool. Now everything up until now was installable through the Archive Manager, but the web browser add-on here requires you to copy over a folder and an SH file. You need to rename qtWebBrowser.sh to muxlaunch.sh. It's on the screen. You put it inside the qtWebBrowser folder, then that folder with that muxlaunch.sh in there goes into the muOS/applications folder on your SD card 1. Depending on your device, you're going to need to look through the Discord thread for this app. Since I decided to use a stickless device, I had to go and find a little bit of code to add to the launch.sh file. It lets me use a quick power tap, and now I can use my D-pad to move the mouse. Now this is still pretty experimental, and I've had it do goofy things from time to time, but it's pretty cool to just have a web browser on here if you need it. If I wanted to look up a walkthrough, maybe some cheat codes, maybe I wanted to go to retrohandhelds.gg and see what Nick thinks about the V20. It's familiar, flawed, and forgettable. Yeah. And then let's close with an add-on that's not really an add-on, because all the way back in the Bananas update, muOS added an MPV media player. Big deal. You can watch video files on stock. Who cares? Well, sir, this media player core can play M3U playlists. Now, M3U playlists contain a list of URLs for IPTV channels. IPTV stands for Internet Protocol Television, and it's basically television broadcast over the internet instead of over the air on a giant radio tower. Now, there are tons of free IPTV channels available on iptv-org.github.io, and adding them to your handheld's pretty simple. From the website, just go to the search bar and type in a show's name or a subject or whatever, and when your search results come back, if there's a stream listed, then you just copy the URL to a text file. Name the file something you can recognize and throw it into a folder. My folder is named Television. Super revolutionary, I know. You can also add multi-stream URLs to the playlist, but you're going to need to change a bunch of configuration files to allow you to flip between channels. I'd recommend starting kind of slow with just a few single-stream text files. And if it becomes more than a novelty, then you can wade into the world of IPTV. If you don't want to mess around with the setup at all, one of the helpful lunatics over at the muOS Discord, BassNG, it's obviously how you say it, he has a GitHub with a few sample channels already configured for you. Put that link on the screen, Gary. Well, Gary, it's time for What Did We Learn? And we learned that muOS continues to get better and potentially is expanding to cover more devices. We also learned that even if the core OS devs aren't working with something, there's always room to add functionality with fan-created apps. Kind of like stray pack files with MinUI, the apps library on the muOS Discord allows you to expand the functionality of this custom firmware in some very novel ways. From super helpful tasks like box art scraping or Bluetooth connectivity, to weirder stuff like watching TV or browsing the web, to sheer vulgar displays of power like playing PAL GameCube games on an H700 chip, muOS has it all. I continue to be impressed by its growth and breadth, that's what she said, and I'm really excited to see it ported over to other devices in the future. Maybe that's coming sooner rather than later, since Ambernick has been uncharacteristically quiet in 2025. But just by saying that, I probably jinxed us into at least 4 more XX releases. Make a Wonder Swan and a DS version, you cowards! Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe and all that jazz. We're almost to 75,000 subs, and it'd be cool to hit 100,000 subs. Heck, if we get to 100,000, I'll do a crazy video or Twitch game stream. Let me know some ideas for that in the comments. I bet you guys got some real doozies of zoo video ideas. Anyway, thanks for watching, and goodbye!